Hello kids, it's Brad here. It's 9:07 on Saturday night, September 10th. I just decided that in order to get into the spirit of this talk on the social network that I should probably, go digital for this talk. So I've got my cup of tea, got my Facebook account in front of me, and we're ready to get rolling. Here I am logging into my Facebook account. So I know that not everyone watching this talk has Facebook or has seen The Social Network, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg and all of his relationships, that many of which fall apart. But I want to make sure that everyone knows that tonight we're really talking about friendships. We're really talking about relationships. We're not just talking about what happens on Facebook. We're not just talking about what happens in the movie The Social Network. So don't tune out if you don't have Facebook or if you haven't seen the movie. We'll tie everything together. And I really want to call everyone on to do a little bit of work and kind of examine your life tonight and think about the relationships that you have. Alright, that being said, we're going to jump into talking about the movie a little bit. And the very opening scene of the movie, The Social Network, Erica Albright, Mark Zuckerberg's girlfriend, and Mark are sitting, they're talking. And Mark is sharing with Erica his desire, very strong desire, to be socially accepted, to be somebody, to be popular, to be wanted. And during the course of this conversation with Erica, he really puts her down. Like, she is not good enough for him. And she picks up on this and dumps him on the spot. That's the very first scene in the movie. And Mark's selfish desire really kind of drives what happens in this movie, this desire for popularity, for feeling of acceptance. So the very next scene, Mark is in his dorm room, and he's hacking into all of the computer systems, all the database, whatever. I don't know all that tech stuff. Paul Carlson can probably tell you all about it. But he's hacking into all of the data and the photos of all the girls on Harvard's campus. And he sets up this website called FaceMash. And we had a little parody with FaceMash tonight with the game with the mashed potatoes. But the FaceMash that Mark Zuckerberg sets up is basically a who's hotter, girl A or girl B. And they were real girls from Harvard, and he sent this link to the website to all of Harvard's campus. And so the movie shows people staying up like very late into the evening on this website, basically objectifying girls. So Facebook kind of started from this FaceMash idea of comparison, and I think we can easily see how often we do that in our lives, comparing myself to another person, whether it's Facebook stalking, going through people's photo albums, looking at these great photos that they have up, and thinking, man, like if I just had what they had, or oh, look what I have, this person's such a loser. Or we do this all the time in real life too, not just on Facebook. People walk into a room and we look at them immediately and judge them. We compare our lives to that person's life, and we make that comparison. How do I stack up? How do I stack up? And I think that's something really important, an important theme to bring up out of the movie, The Social Network. It's how it starts from this comparison, FaceMash. Alright, another thing to bring up from the movie, Mark Zuckerberg, many of his relationships just fall apart because they're not good enough for him. He wants to feel like affirmed and popular. And eventually in the movie he meets Sean Parker. Sean Parker was the guy who founded Napster. And he was very popular, powerful, wealthy. He had all the girls. He had this place in California. And Mark wanted to be Sean Parker. So he did whatever it took to get on Sean's good side. Whatever it took. He even moved across the country just to be part of Sean Parker's posse, whatever you want to call it. That's what it meant to be in, and that's where Mark went. And how many times do we make statements? Do we act a certain way? Do we put on a certain mask in different situations, online and in real time, just to be in, to be accepted? One thing I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is looking at different statuses that people are posting, and I'm just wondering, like, what are you thinking when you're posting this? Like, why are you posting this status if not to get likes, to get comments, for someone to notice you? So we're going to take a few seconds here and put up a few of these statuses, these status updates that I've been keeping track of. Why else do we post status updates like this, if it's not to attract attention to ourselves, to our Facebook wall, right? We say things all the time just to get attention, to feel accepted, and to feel liked. And I think when you really think about what you're posting on Facebook and why you're posting it, that point becomes pretty clear. Moving on in terms of the social network and what's happening in the movie, the very end, I'm going to blow the movie for you a little bit, but that's okay. It's just one of the many storylines. So Mark Zuckerberg spends a lot of the movie wrecking relationships. A lot of his best friendships that he had get cast aside. They're not good enough for him. Money, power, pleasure are all worth more in his mind. So all of these friendships fall by the wayside. But the one that he's always trying to get back is his relationship with Erica Albright, because there must have been something more to that, and he started to feel the pain of that loss. The very last scene of the movie, he's sitting in an empty room, just Mark Zuckerberg and his computer, and he's on Facebook, and he goes to Erica Albright's page, and he friends her on Facebook. So, beginning scene of the movie, he's in a real, authentic relationship with Erica Albright. Last scene of the movie, he friends her on Facebook. He settles for something less. He settles for something less than a real, authentic, genuine, human contact relationship, and he goes and settles for the digital relationship. How often do we settle for less than what we really want? And I just want to wrap up this talk with a few points, summary points. First, how often do we compare ourselves to others? Why are we comparing ourselves to others? Second, why are we constantly seeking attention and seeking affirmation? What does this teach us about what we really desire? And these ways that we go about seeking attention are seeking affirmation, do they really satisfy us? And finally, final question, going back to that last scene in the movie, how often do we settle for shallow relationships?